I'm speaking from Nganawal country, Canberra, that has nurtured my living and writing. And I'm speaking to all of you in my first home, the Philippines, ang aking unang puso. My paper is entitled Dekolonyal Elasticity in the Filipino Transnational Poets' Travel and Traveling Story, Creative Critical Journeys. The paper discusses how decoloniality drives the travel and traveling poems by three Filipino transnational poets, Luisa A, and Bino Realuyo, both based in the US, and myself, who's based in Australia. I use the border-crossing term, transnational, to decolonize the conventional and othering designations of expatriate, diasporic, immigrant or migrant, or ethnic, used by the dominant host nation and or the original nation. This decolonial paper, a journey in itself, sets sail with the evocation of the Caracoa, the 16th century Philippine war vessel. In the 80s, the name Caracoa was adopted as the title for the poetry journal of the Philippine Literary Arts Council. Aboard the strategic Caracoa, so to speak, I ask these key questions. Who can travel to any place they wanted, and how far? What travels are validated and celebrated, or obscured and nullified? Who is the arbiter of legitimacy? What travels and travel representations colonize or decolonize? Who survives the journey? I charted the poem's decolonial drive and found that they critique and disorient colonial travel and history and empire. They reconfigure the journey into a decolonial narrative that stretches between colonial history and ongoing neo-colonial projects and centers the life and voice of the colonial subject. This stretching and deformation of the usual colonial narrative is what I call a decolonial elasticity. The colonial subject is no longer subject, but protagonist in the poem, displacing the colonial master. In science, the theory of elasticity is concerned with the mechanics of deformable bodies, which recover their original shape upon the removal of the forces causing the deformation, according to Snedon and Berry. When force is applied on a body, it's stretched and deformed. Colonization is a force that deforms body and soul, peoples, nations, the environment. Now consider this rubber band. If you apply force on it at both ends, it's stretched and deformed. But as you let go, it rebounds to its original shape while flying in midair and becoming a catapult to hit the target. With the burden of colonial history in the original home and the ongoing coloniality in the new home, the Filipino transnational poet turns poetry into a catapult against both colonial history and colonial projects at the fundamental level of thought. Maraming salamat sa katipunan at sa mga patnugot nito. Alvin Yapan, Christian Hill Benitez, sa mga kasamahan kong contributors at muli kay Christian sa napakagandang salin sa Filipino ng aking sanaysay na sinulat ko sa Ingles.